So I think we are ready now to move on and get into the last session of the conference. By the way, may I remind you that you should all have received an email with a questionnaire. So feel free to complete it. Your feedback is going to be very valuable to us. So without further delay, let's move on to the last session, which actually is going to have a different format. It's going to be a fireside chat between a very distinguished professional and a very distinguished journalist. So we have the honor to have with us Mr. Gregory Dimitriadis, who is the CEO of the Hellenic Corporation of Assets and Participations. So this is the National Fund of Greece. And Mrs. Lucy Fitzgeorge-Parker, who is the editor of Responsible Investor, a leading media outlet in the field. So many thanks to both of you. And the floor is yours for the next 15 minutes.
Thank you, George. It's great to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me to join this. I'm very much looking forward to speaking to Gregory today. So yes, as George said, my name is Lucy Fitzgeorge-Parker. I'm the editor of Responsible Investor, and I'm going to be speaking to Gregory from the Hellenic Corporation of Assets and Participations, I think more shortly known as the Greek Growth Fund. Gregory, for those who don't know the Growth Fund so well, could you maybe just give a quick overview of sort of what it is and where it's come from? Oh, you're on mute, I think. I can't hear you. George, can you hear anything?
No, I'm afraid I do not.
If you can all bear with us just for a moment, I'm sure we can get this sorted out.
Now?
Yes, it wouldn't be a virtual conference without some sort of technical hitch. So I'm very glad we got that sorted out.
Different microphone options here. So anyway, I'm happy that we can speak, and thank you very much for the introduction. It's I think it's a very important opportunity given with the EBRD and IFFR that we have the chance to organize this. And yes, about growth funds, some basic things. We are an entity similar to what in other countries are the sovereign wealth funds. In our case, we have a number of assets which are state-owned enterprises. So either we own all of it or we have some significant participation. This includes 34% of the power company. It includes public transport in Athens, other big part of the real estate of the country, and as well other entities like the postal services and so on. So about 7 billion is the assets under management that we have, and a little bit more than 30,000 employees. So so this means that we also have a big responsibility regarding also to the environment and sustainability. And on top of that, we also try to have to build a strategy for investments in order to be also an active investor, as our law dictates. We're 6 years old, so we're not that old, but we hope that we mature and we grow, and that's why we are a growth fund, to grow ourselves and to help the country grow.
Okay, great. Well, obviously you mentioned the ESG and sustainability, and you've touched on that, but I mean, maybe could you elaborate a bit and explain why sustainability is important for the Growth Fund and sort of why that's coming to the fore now?
Yes, sustainability and ESG is it's extremely important, and it's not just a buzzword for us. It is the pillar of our strategy, and it is for two reasons. The first reason is that we have a responsibility, given that our group, the entities that we have in our portfolio, contribute about 25% of the country's total CO2 emissions. So this gives us the responsibility that we must have some prompt action to reduce that and comply with also international agreements like the Paris Agreement, the EU Green Deal, the United Nations SDGs. So we're very committed towards that, and also the country itself, Greece, although the UN has suggested that there is a slow progress to achieve the targets of 55% reduction by 2030, Greece stands out, and the legislation we have for the National Climate Law and the National Climate and Energy Plan that we have is ambitious, and a lot of this burden is also on our shoulders that we have to deliver. So this is a very important reason. The other important reason is that we also want to modernize the state-owned enterprises that we have. We want to change their mentality, and ESG is exactly a way of transforming these entities. It's an excuse and a tool at the same time, because these companies, they have actually to change mentality, be much more citizen-friendly, and provide services that are exactly environmentally friendly, social, and with proper governance. Because, as you understand, corporate governance is extremely important, especially when you have to handle and to manage public goods and public services that everybody can have. So this is important as principles that we have to install in each one of our subsidiaries.
And obviously, one of the principles of good governance is always transparency. And I think that's something particularly you have been focusing on. Is that right?
Yes, we want to have transparency in everything in terms of our decision making, that it is independent, it's for the benefit and of the companies we manage, and towards the public interest and for the longer term, not just for now, but for the future generations. That's what makes us a growth fund. Is not just a quick growth, or we're not a hedge fund, we're a long-term with a long-term view. And this reporting and transparency and measurement are effectively practices that we have to handle and deal with, not just how we do with our financials, but also with the environment. And that's why, for example, we have taken proactive measures. We have asked all our subsidiaries to measure Scope 1 and Scope 2 of the carbon footprint. And this is the way to see also the change that we can have year after year. Of course, we take into account all the physical and precision risks that can take place. But we have performed gap analysis, the CSRD, which is a readiness exercise to our portfolio to assess the current status, and therefore be upfront. And we're not cash flow rich as a fund, although we're strategic rich given our impact in the Greek economy. But we are an agency that we can easily, since we have a relatively more limited portfolio, push forward for changes in green transition and do the measurements and be very open, much more than other funds that are much more established. They have more rules and more bureaucracy and greater spread. So for us, we can act easily as a good case study for this transition, and that's what we want actually to promote. And I think this is also something that will make both the subsidiaries themselves proud that they contribute something for the future good, but also to the citizens.
Well, this is all great, and I'm sure that is something that everyone is going to welcome, but ESG isn't easy for anyone, and I assume it's certainly no easier for you with state-owned companies and the companies you're dealing with. What are the things that you find the most challenging or you worry about most? Is it the regulatory side? Is it sort of greenwashing risk, reputational risk? I don't know. What of the various hurdles on the ESG are you worried about?
Yes, of course, this comes with difficulties, but given the size of threat of the climate crisis, these are much less difficulties than the difficulty that we will all face and the future generations will face if we don't act decisively now. So that's why we have a very specific set of targets. This includes that we have a target of reducing by 15% for the entire group, for all the 25% emissions that we said we contribute to the country by 2024. So we will have a reduction of 15%. And we are already halfway to achieve this. And of course, yes, it is difficult. And there are, however, some companies like PPC, which is the power company that leads the way. It is running actually the most aggressive dehumidification program in Europe at the moment. I think it's a great example of green transition, and this is despite the energy crisis that we had from the invasion of Russia to Ukraine. And of course, a huge commitment towards pushing for renewables, which now is actually changing completely the energy mix we have in the country. And now renewables are getting much stronger than any other source of energy. So this is a very important transition from a legacy company that used to be based on a lignite. And of course, we understand that there is going to be difficulties with this green transition. I don't believe that someone is going to accuse us of greenwashing, because we have to do it, and we do it anyway all the time. So, and for that, I think what we said earlier is what matters, is we measure things, and we're very transparent about this, and also with the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. I think we're very transparent in our commitments, and this can prove that, and everybody can see if we're doing the job or not. At the same time, of course, we get, and this is very important for us, we do get good practices from others. So we are members of the One Planet Sovereign Wealth Funds initiative, where all the major sovereign wealth funds are participating. And actually, despite our size, yes, that's what we project. We project the specific case studies that have an impact, that can that show both our commitment, but also will help others see that this is something that can happen. If someone was trying to think that PPC, for example, was on the verge of bankruptcy and depending on lignite just until 4 years ago, and now it is green, much greener, and it's becoming super green according to its investment plan, and nobody will believe it. But yes, this is something that people see, and also investors believe, because investors have supported PPC much more now that it's becoming green than ever before.
Okay, that's great. Well, I think we are. I've got more questions, but I think we are out of time. We've run over a couple of minutes, but we did start late. But that was really interesting. Thank you very much indeed. I will hand back to you, George, to wrap things up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Gregory. I think we have reached the end of today's conference. So as you may have noticed, we had a quite rich format. We had roundtable panel discussions. We had sessions with structured presentations. We had fireside chat discussion. And we had a lineup of distinguished professionals and academics discussing the recent developments in the ESG field, ranging from greenwashing to integrating ESG practices in banking, how firms are viewing ESG. We had case studies from the metal sector, from the real estate sector, from the National Fund of Greece. We talked about ESG alpha, how we can measure it. And we had also discussions on general perspectives on ESG. So with that, I would like to thank you all for your participation. More than 900 people from all over the world have joined us. I would like once again to thank EBRD for the wonderful collaboration we have over the past 3 years. This is the third year that the third consecutive year that we are organizing this conference, and we are very much looking forward to next year's conference. I would like to thank our platinum sponsor, EY, Ernst & Young, our gold sponsors, Synergy Holdings, Grant Thornton, National Bank of Greece, Piraeus Bank, our affiliate organization, Prodea Investments, our supporter, the Athens Exchange Group, our media partners, the Athens Macedonian News Agency, Capital GR, Euro Today, Next Deal, and Responsible Investor, Eventora, Heartis, C'est La Vie, the IFFR team, and the University of Piraeus, and in particular the Department of Banking and Financial Management, under the auspices of which IFFR is operating. Please, may I remind you to fill in the questionnaire that you have already received in your emails. Your feedback is really going to be valuable. I have received questions about whether the videos will be available, the videos with the talks. And in fact, we're going to upload the videos on the IFFR website so that you can watch them at your convenience. Feel free to join us on LinkedIn to connect with us. And you're going to receive a notification as soon as the videos are on. So with that, may I say good night or good afternoon or good morning, depending on whether you reside. Please stay in touch with us. And we're looking forward to seeing you in next year's conference. Bye-bye.